SolidWorks PCB is an electronics design software, or ECAD software, which is powered by Altium Designer. It gives you schematic layout, it gives you PCB layout, and you can produce all the manufacturing outputs you need to produce a printed circuit board. What's unique about SolidWorks PCB though is the link to SolidWorks. So rather than sending neutral CAD formats between departments to build up a design, we can actually open up the same project both in SolidWorks and SolidWorks PCB, which means that you can get designs done quicker with less prototypes being needed to be made, and hopefully reducing the whole time it takes to actually produce a design. I would say an electrical system is one that incorporates wiring, so it could be a wiring loom, cable, wires. Electronics for me is more the printed circuit board itself, so SolidWorks PCB would be used to design the printed circuit board. We've got other products within the portfolio that would look at the wiring to and from those boards. There's quite a few industries I would say that use SolidWorks PCB. Pretty much anyone that incorporates a printed circuit board into their design could have a requirement for our package. We've got customers doing product design, customers doing navigational equipment, drones. It really is quite varied. I would say in the industry, the Internet of Things is becoming a big feature. So we're seeing lots of designs that are needing connectivity to the internet that perhaps previously didn't need that. I'm also seeing designs becoming smaller to fit within enclosures, but also the complexity isn't getting any less. So using SolidWorks PCB, you can still design a very good working printed circuit board, but we've now got that Mechatronic link, so you can actually collaborate between electronics and mechanical and get the optimal design for your product. For customers that have got Altium Designer, they don't necessarily need SolidWorks PCB. There is a connector that would just bolt onto their existing Altium Designer license, and that gives the same collaborative working that you would get with SolidWorks PCB and SolidWorks, but within Altium and SolidWorks. For customers that have adopted SolidWorks PCB, there's a 3-day training course they can sit onto, and after that 3-day course they can be fully working with the software. And that just shows the intuitiveness of the software, how easy to use it is. Compared to other ECAD packages, there's no drop-down menu trying to find tools that you need. We've got a standard ribbon-based system and everything's where you would expect to find it. The benefit of working with SolidWorks in that 3D environment means that you can start to check for things like clashes. So we've got interference detection we can use to check between clashes, maybe between the components and other components, maybe components and enclosure. We can even analyse the copper as geometry as well and look at if that's interfering with components. So we can basically do lots of checks that perhaps you wouldn't realise until you physically prototyped. We can now do all that virtually, which obviously have some cost benefits too. For customers before they adopted SolidWorks PCB, I'd probably say they were sending step files between teams, so a neutral CAD format, maybe a DWG even. So rather than having a synchronous link, so enabling that collaborative working which we can now do in SolidWorks PCB, it was very segmented, very open to mistakes. Just the sheer management of those files was often quite difficult to do, and obviously the time it would take to work with those files. So we've got a much more slicker, effective workflow using SolidWorks.